If I had known that one fake proposal would send my life into complete chaos, I might have at least picked someone I actually knew. But no, I panicked. The moment my mom said, "Ren, you're 23. I've scheduled a brunch with the daughter of the Nishikawa family. She's a pianist. Very rich. Very traditional." I nearly choked on my strawberry mochi. Before I could think, the lie jumped out like my brain was possessed by every bad romantic comedy ever made. "I'm already engaged," I blurted, which would have been fine if I hadn't followed it up with, "to a man." Silence. You know that kind of silence that feels like even the clock on the wall is holding its breath. "Yeah, that." Mom blinked. "You're engaged," she repeated, her voice slower than usual. "To a man," I confirmed, trying to sound confident while aggressively sweating through my hoodie. "Name, huh? What's his name, Ren?" I looked around the room like my future husband was going to fall through the ceiling and say, "Hi babe, sorry I'm late." But no, there was only my mother, the judgment of 3 generations of Hayeshas staring down from their portraits, and the sound of my tragic heartbeat. "Keiji," I said, eyes landing on my empty coffee cup. "Keiji Tanaka. Totally real name. Not the name of the hot barista at the cafe I go to 3 times a week. Nope, not at all." By the time I realized what I'd done, it was too late. My mom was already adjusting her scarf, muttering something about how times have changed, but a scandal is still a scandal, and at least get me a picture of the boy so I can mentally prepare. I spent the rest of that day texting Keiji, begging him to meet me behind the cafe for the weirdest conversation I've ever had. "So you're telling me," Keiji said, sipping his iced coffee like this was just another Tuesday, "you told your mom we're engaged, and now I'm your fake fiancé." I nodded, eyes wide with silent pleading. "I'll pay you. I'll do your laundry for a month. I'll design you a custom tattoo. Anything." He tilted his head, studying me. "You draw?" "I freelance. Mostly manga covers, but this isn't about that right now, Keiji. I really need your help." He looked way too amused for someone being dragged into family drama. "You could have at least chosen someone taller. I mean, you're barely 5'8", and you still tower over me. It's embarrassing. You're the only guy I know who looks good holding a croissant, and could pass for a fiancé in one selfie." He smirked. "Fine, but I want one thing in return." I swallowed. "What?" "You have to buy me a large matcha latte every day until this lie ends." I blinked. "You're cheap. Take it or leave it, fiancé." And that's how I ended up dragging Keiji into a crowded shopping center 2 days later, fake proposing in front of a fake crowd while my mother just happened to walk by. I knelt down with a plastic ring box I got from a claw machine, holding it up like we were in a K-drama. Keiji placed a hand dramatically on his chest, pretending to gasp, then tackled me into a hug, so convincing that for a full 2 seconds I forgot it was fake. Someone recorded it. Of course they did. The video hit Twitter in under 30 minutes with the caption, "Random barista gets surprise proposal from anime boyfriend." It got 20K likes before dinner. My phone didn't stop buzzing. Neither did my brain. And then, Tama showed up. It was a Thursday, cold, windy. I had just gotten into my apartment after a long painful meeting with my mom, who was now asking for Keiji's family background and blood type. I wanted to throw my phone into the nearest river. I kicked off my shoes, sighed into the hallway and turned to close the door, only to find him standing there like a scene out of a memory I didn't realize I missed so badly. Toma, tall, slightly tan from living abroad, carrying a suitcase in one hand and a small velvet box in the other. My heart stopped. "Hey," he said, casual as ever, like we hadn't gone years without seeing each other. Like he hadn't left for the UK to pursue architecture and disappeared from my life except for rare birthday texts and blurry selfies with castles in the background. What are you doing here?" I asked, stepping back in total confusion. He smiled, then held up the box. "I heard you're getting married." I blinked rapidly. Yeah, well, not really. Technically yes, but shame," he said, walking past me like he still owned the place. "Because I came to propose." I choked on air. Tama set the suitcase down, turned to face me, and opened the ring box. Inside was an actual real diamond ring. "Figured if you're going to fake it," he said, with that infuriatingly calm voice of his, "you might as well fake it with someone who actually loves you." My jaw dropped. Nope. Pause. Rewind. "You don't love me." He tilted his head, amused. You sure about that? I stood there trying to process what dimension I'd fallen into. Toma, are you seriously telling me you flew all the way here to propose just to spite my fake relationship? No, he said, walking closer. I came because I saw the video, realized you were in trouble, and figured it was finally time to stop pretending I don't want to be more than your best friend. But I brought your favorite instant ramen from London. That's not fair. I memorized your high school manga series just so I'd understand your jokes. You did. I also used to fake reasons to walk you home because I liked watching you rant about anime characters like they owed you rent. My ears burned. Okay, stop. I'm already halfway to cardiac arrest. He grinned. Still into dramatic anime boys, I see. Apparently I am, I muttered, rubbing my face. There was a beat of silence. The air between us shifted. He wasn't joking anymore. Toma, I said softly. This isn't just some game. My mom's taking this seriously. She wants a full family dinner. Keiji's barely surviving the fake fiancé job. She's asking for wedding venues now. I don't know how much longer I can keep lying. Then stop lying, he said, stepping closer. But it was just to get her off my back. I didn't think anyone would actually propose. He looked into my eyes, calm but intense. I've wanted to propose since we were 17. I stared at him. You. What? Remember that time we sat on your roof, and you said, if no one loves me by 30, just marry me. That was a joke. It wasn't to me. My chest ached. Toma. He reached out, brushing a piece of hair behind my ear. I don't need a crowd or a video or a plan. Just say yes, and I'll take you out of this whole mess. My hands were shaking. I didn't say yes. I didn't say no. I just stood there, staring at the boy who used to share umbrella candies with me in middle school, now standing in my hallway, with a real ring and a heart full of truth I never saw coming. And somewhere in the living room, my phone buzzed again. Another notification. Keiji has tagged you in a new post. When your fake fiancé's real love shows up looking like a K-drama lead. I was in so much trouble. And the worst part, I didn't want out. There are exactly 3 moments in my life that made me feel like I was starring in a drama. The first was when I accidentally dyed my hair green before prom. The second was when I walked into a glass door while trying to look cool in front of my ex. And the third was now, watching my best friend Tama casually unpack a toothbrush in my bathroom like he didn't just blow up my fake engagement with one sentence. I took the left side of the bed, he called out. That okay? The what now? I asked from the hallway, peeking into the bedroom in horror. He was fluffing the pillows, like we shared beds all the time, like he hadn't just dropped a real proposal in my lap and claimed the mattress like it was his birthright. You live alone, Ren. It's weird. I don't trust you not to fall asleep watching cat videos and drool on the couch. I'm here now, let me help. By invading my sleeping space, by keeping you from self-destructing, it's a full-time job. I stood there, arms crossed, lips twitching with a mix of amusement and panic. You can't just come back into my life with a diamond and a toothbrush like this is some kind of romantic comedy. Tama sat on the bed, leaning back on his elbows. It's not a comedy unless you trip over something, which you do regularly. I'm not tripping. You tripped over your own lie. Okay, he had a point, but still. The next morning things got weirder. I opened my front door to find my mother standing there, her purse clutched like a weapon, her lips tight with suspicion. I want to meet your fiancé properly, she said, without saying good morning. Oh great, just what I needed, I mumbled under my breath. Behind me Tama walked out of the kitchen, wearing my apron and holding a tray of toast. Mrs. Hayashi, he said smoothly, offering a polite nod. Would you like some breakfast? Ren overslept, but I made extra. My mother's eyebrows nearly disappeared into her hairline. You live here. I do now, Tama replied, calm as a monk. Your son and I are serious. He hasn't told you yet, but we've been talking about moving to Europe together. I choked on air. Have we? I whispered sharply. He smiled without looking at me. Oh yes, so many plans. Matching travel backpacks, new language apps, the whole deal. I wanted the floor to swallow me. Right then and there. No funeral, just a fast burial under my apartment tiles. Mom narrowed her eyes. Humph, and your family? Tama set down the tray, his voice gentler now. My parents passed away, it's just me. I've known Ren since we were kids. I loved him before he even knew what love meant. My mom blinked. I blinked harder. She looked between us, clearly calculating. Then to my horror, she smiled. Finally, she said. Someone with manners. What? No, that wasn't how this was supposed to go. You approve? I asked, voice climbing an octave. Of course, she said. He's respectful, knows how to cook, and looks like someone who won't disappear during hard times. I nearly laughed out loud. She just described my fake fiancé Keiji as the exact opposite. And just like that, Tama won her over without lifting a finger. This was not how fake relationships were supposed to get fixed. Now I had two problems. I was in love with my best friend, and my mom loved him more than me. Later that day, Tama and I sat on the couch, eating instant ramen like nothing happened. Why are you so good at lying? I asked, poking his arm with my chopsticks. I'm not lying, he said with a shrug, just using the truth creatively. That sounds worse. He slurped his noodles and leaned back, watching me closely. You've always been good at hiding behind jokes, Ren. But when are you going to tell me how you really feel? I froze. My brain tried to find a clever answer, something light and harmless, but nothing came out. My chest felt tight, like my ribcage didn't want to open up just yet. Before I could respond, someone knocked at the door. I opened it, expecting maybe a neighbor or a delivery. But no, it was Keiji, wearing his work apron and holding a box of donuts. I brought peace offerings, he said, lifting the box. Also, your mom stopped by the cafe and asked if I needed help finding a job. So I'm guessing the engagement is over. I groaned. She's moving fast. Keiji stepped inside, glanced around, and spotted Tama lounging on the couch, with a smug expression that practically screamed I win. Oh, Keiji said slowly. It's you. Tama nodded. It's me. Real fiancé. Realest one you've ever seen. Keiji glanced at me. You okay with this? I nodded, avoiding eye contact with both of them.
It's complicated.
No, it's not, Tama said. He faked a proposal. I'm just making sure the next one isn't fake. Keiji raised an eyebrow. And what if I say I still have feelings for him? You don't, Tama said without flinching. Keiji blinked, then laughed. Wow, confident. Tama smiled. I've waited 6 years. I've earned it. I stared at them like they were playing some secret silent game, and I was the prize neither of them wanted to admit they already won. Keiji left after 30 minutes, but not before pulling me aside and whispering, for what it's worth, you looked a lot happier when you were fake dating me. Now, you look like you don't know whether to kiss him or cry. He was right, and I hated that. That night, I lay in bed with my back to Tama. We weren't touching, but his warmth was still there, quietly reassuring, quietly terrifying. I couldn't sleep. You're still awake, he said softly. Yeah. Want to talk about it? No. Want me to stop talking? Yes. He paused. Want me to hold your hand? I didn't answer, but I rolled over and slipped my hand into his under the blanket anyway. And when his fingers wrapped around mine, something in me finally relaxed. I wasn't sure what was going to happen next, but for the first time in weeks, I wanted it to be real. Toma didn't speak when I let go of his hand the next morning. He just looked at me for a second longer than usual, like he could already tell I was pulling back. Not because I didn't want to hold him, but because holding him made everything feel too real, and real was scary. Breakfast? He asked, acting like nothing happened. I nodded, thankful for the escape. He made omelets, the kind he used to cook in high school after I failed exams. Soft inside, a little crispy at the edges, just how I liked them. I ate quietly, barely tasting a thing, while he hummed something familiar from the other room. The silence between us wasn't uncomfortable, it was worse. It felt loaded, like something unsaid was just floating between the plates and mugs. That afternoon, Toma insisted we go out. I'm kidnapping you for the day, he said, already grabbing his keys. Why? Where? You'll see. Trust me. That phrase again. He always said it when something big was coming. I followed him out without arguing. We drove out of the city, the buildings slowly fading into trees, until the road curved down toward the coast. I recognized the place before we even parked. That tiny beach with the broken swing set, where we used to skip stones and talk about our future like it was some adventure we'd conquer together. You remembered this place, I said softly. He smiled without looking at me. I remember everything. We walked along the sand, wind tugging at my sleeves. It was quiet, just waves and gulls and the sound of our steps on old memories. Do you remember what you said here once? He asked, suddenly. I blinked. You'll have to be more specific. I've said a lot of dumb things here. You said you didn't believe in soulmates, that you thought love was just a habit people got stuck in. I winced. Yeah. I was going through my emotionally unavailable anime protagonist phase, he chuckled. I wanted to argue, but I didn't. Because I was scared that if I told you what I really thought, you'd run. I stopped walking. He turned to face me, hands in his pockets, eyes soft but unreadable. I've loved you for years, he said. It wasn't loud, it wasn't dramatic, but it was constant. It sat with me through exams, through heartbreaks, through plane rides. Every time I saw something beautiful, I thought of you. I couldn't breathe. You left, I whispered. Because if I stayed, I would have told you, and I didn't think you'd stay. Tears stung behind my eyes, stupid and fast. He stepped closer. But now I'm here. I'm not going anywhere unless you tell me to. He pulled something out of his coat pocket, a small velvet box. He opened it again, but this time there was no one watching. No crowd, no pretending. Just us. I'm not asking you to marry me now, he said quietly. I just want you to keep this. Not because it's romantic, but because it's real, just like how I feel about you. I stared at the ring. Simple, elegant, nothing flashy. But the way he held it out, like he was offering his whole heart, it made my chest ache. I don't know if I deserve you, I said. He smiled sadly. I've been saying the same thing about you. I took the box. My fingers trembled slightly. Before I could say anything else, my phone buzzed. I ignored it. It buzzed again. Then again. Toma glanced at me. Maybe it's your mom. I sighed, pulling it out. 3 missed calls from her, and a new voicemail. I played it on speaker. Ren, we need to talk. I know Keiji was paid. I don't know what's going on, but if you think you can lie to me and embarrass the family like this. I ended the message quickly, shame creeping over my skin like frost. Toma didn't say anything. He didn't need to. We drove home in silence. I kept the box in my lap the entire way. When we got back, the apartment felt colder, like the joy had leaked out while we were gone. Toma made tea, but I barely touched mine. Later that night, I found him sitting on the floor of the living room, flipping through one of my sketchbooks. This one, he said, holding up a page. You drew this in college. It was the first time you actually let me see something you didn't hate. I looked over. It was a sketch of him, sleeping in a chair, hoodie pulled over his face, headphones on. I drew it when I missed him more than I wanted to admit. You never told me, he said. I didn't know how. He didn't ask what I meant. He just nodded. I think I messed everything up, I admitted, voice shaking. The fake proposal, lying to my mom, dragging Keiji into it, and you were the only real thing, and I didn't see it until it was already too much. Toma stood slowly, walked over, sat beside me. I don't care how it started, he said softly. I just care about where it goes from here. I wanted to say something back. I really did. But the doorbell rang. When I opened it, my mom was there, and she did not look pleased. I hope you're ready to talk, she said. She walked in like she owned the place. Toma stood up instantly, polite and respectful. She eyed him, then turned to me. You lied, she said, not yelling, but sharper than I'd ever heard. That boy, Keiji, he admitted everything. You paid him. Why? Because I didn't want to marry someone I didn't love, I said, finally. And what about this one? She said, nodding toward Toma. I didn't pay him, I said. He showed up on his own, because he loves me. And my voice cracked. I looked at Toma. His eyes held me together. I love him too. Mom went quiet. Toma walked forward, bowed slightly. I'm sorry it happened like this, he said gently. But I won't let Ren go through life pretending to be someone he's not anymore. There was a long pause. Then, finally, my mother sighed. I may not understand all of this, she said, slowly. But if you're going to choose someone, at least it's someone who clearly isn't going to run away." She left without another word. When the door closed, I exhaled so hard, I thought my lungs collapsed. Toma leaned against the wall, grinning. "You just came out to your mom, with the grace of a traffic accident." "Thanks," I said, flopping onto the couch. "Appreciate the support." He sat beside me, nudging my shoulder. "You still have the ring." I pulled it from my pocket. He smiled, not saying anything. I held it tightly, because this time, it wasn't fake. I didn't expect things to feel colder after the truth came out. You'd think confession would bring relief, maybe even a fresh start, but somehow, all it did was make the silence between us heavier. Tama didn't stop being kind. He still made tea every evening, folded my laundry before I noticed it was even dirty, and asked how my day was like he genuinely wanted to know. But the spark in his eyes, the one that used to flicker when I walked into a room, was dimming, and I hated it. I kept waiting for him to bring up the ring, to tease me again, to ask what I planned to do about it. But he didn't. He just kept giving me space I didn't ask for. Space I didn't want. It started slowly. He spent more time out of the apartment. His toothbrush went missing from the bathroom. Then I noticed he didn't sleep on the left side of the bed anymore. He stayed on the couch, saying something about not wanting to disturb me. The worst part? I let him. I let him drift, even as every piece of me screamed to pull him back. One night I found him on the balcony, staring at the city lights like they held answers. I couldn't give. The wind was colder than usual. He wore one of my old hoodies, sleeves pulled over his hands. "You okay?" I asked, stepping beside him. He didn't look at me, just thinking. "You do that a lot lately." He let out a soft laugh. That's what people do when they've got no idea what comes next. I leaned on the railing, shoulder brushing his. "Tama, are you still waiting for me to say something?" "I stopped waiting," he replied. "Not bitter, just tired. Now I'm just hoping." The honesty hit hard. I stared down at the street below, watching cars pass, like little reminders of how fast everything changes. "I've never been good at this," I admitted, "not because I don't care, but because every time something feels real, I want to ruin it before it can ruin me." He finally turned to look at me. "Then why let it get real at all?" "I didn't think you'd still be here," I whispered. "But you are, and I don't know how to handle that." His expression was unreadable, calm, almost, but I saw the crack behind it. "I won't be forever," he said. I wanted to argue, but I didn't, because I knew what was coming. The next day I woke up to find a note on the counter. No dramatic speech, no guilt trip, just a single line. "I need space before I forget what I came here for." He was gone. His suitcase, his jacket, the ring box from my desk, gone. I stood there in my pajamas, bare feet on cold tile, reading the same sentence again and again, until the letters blurred. I spent the next 3 days barely functioning. The apartment echoed in his absence. Every corner reminded me of him. His voice still lingered in the walls. I caught myself talking to him more than once, only to remember there was no answer coming. On the 4th day, Keiji knocked on my door. He didn't bring coffee this time, just stood there in jeans and a hoodie, holding a sympathy donut like it could glue my soul back together. "You look like something that crawled out of a sad playlist," he said, stepping inside uninvited. "Thanks. You always know what to say." He sat across from me, unwrapping the donut and pushing it toward me. "So, you broke the boy." "I didn't mean to." "I know that's the problem." I didn't reply. Keiji leaned back, arms folded. "You want to know the difference between you and him?" "No," I muttered. He ignored me. "He was always ready to risk everything for you, even when it made him look like an idiot. But you've been playing it safe since the beginning. And the sad part is, you're not even protecting your heart, you're just punishing it." I stared at the donut like it held the secrets of the universe. Keiji stood up, pulling his hood over his head. "You still have time, but not forever." He walked out, and this time, I didn't try to stop him either. Later that night, I sat on the floor of the balcony, phone clutched in both hands, screen open to Tama's contact. I typed, deleted, typed again, deleted everything. My hands were shaking. In the end, I sent him just one thing: "Can we talk?" No response. I went to sleep with my phone on my chest, hoping. The next morning, it buzzed. One new message. "Airport, gate 18. I leave at 10. I didn't even put on socks. I just grabbed my hoodie, keys and wallet, then ran. The train ride felt like a blur. Every second that passed felt like a countdown to something I wasn't ready for. When I reached the airport, I was breathless, hair a mess, and probably looked more like a rejected contestant from a dating show than someone about to make a heartfelt plea. Gate 18. I spotted him instantly. Tama, standing near the window, backpack slung over one shoulder, phone in hand. He hadn't seen me yet. I ran up, stopping just inches from him, chest heaving. "Don't go." He looked up, his eyes softened, but his voice stayed even. "I said I needed space. I know, and I gave it to you. But I don't want to keep giving it if it means losing you." The intercom buzzed above us, announcing boarding. I swallowed the panic rising in my throat. I didn't know how to say I loved you without feeling like I was breaking something. But maybe love is supposed to break us a little. Maybe that's how we know it's real. He didn't speak. I took his hand. "You told me to stop lying. So here's the truth. I don't want a fake fiancé. I want you. For real. Messy. Scary. Beautiful. You." His grip on my hand tightened. Then finally, he smiled. "Do you still have the ring?" he asked. I pulled it from my pocket. "I brought it just in case." He looked at the gate, then back at me. "I can catch another flight," he said casually. I laughed. "You're the most dramatic person I know." He leaned in, forehead against mine. I learned from the best. 3 weeks passed. 3 quiet, golden, unbelievable weeks since the airport. Tama didn't fly out. He never let go of my hand at gate 18. He simply adjusted the strap of his backpack, said, "Guess I'm staying," and we walked out of the terminal like 2 idiots trying not to smile too hard. We didn't make any big declarations that night. No sudden "we're boyfriends now" label. It wasn't like that. It was softer, like the way he'd brush his fingers over mine when we crossed the street, or how he started using "our" mug instead of "your." Everything about us became real in small, quiet ways. I remember the first time I caught myself waiting for him to walk through the front door, not because I needed him to fix anything, but just because the apartment felt more like home when he was inside it. That's when I realized I wasn't scared anymore. Not of the feelings, not of the future, not even of my mother's dramatic voice notes. Speaking of her, she didn't show up again unannounced, but she did send me one long text the morning after Tama didn't leave. "If this boy is going to be in your life, make sure he gets a proper family dinner. We'll pretend none of that fake proposal nonsense ever happened. Don't embarrass me this time." Which was the Hayashi way of saying welcome to the family. So we agreed to meet her again properly. That dinner was nothing short of chaos. Tama, of course, charmed her effortlessly. He told stories about me she'd never heard, and I didn't know whether to laugh or file for witness protection. At one point she leaned across the table and whispered, "He's the one. You're lucky." I already knew. 1 week later, we were curled up on the floor of my messy art room. Tama was flipping through one of my sketchbooks again, now full of unfinished drawings of his face. I pretended not to notice. "You keep drawing me when I'm not looking," he said. "You keep existing in my space." I shot back. He smirked. "You want me to leave? Don't even joke." He didn't. That night, I couldn't sleep. Not because anything was wrong, but because something was finally completely right. I walked out to the balcony, letting the cold air clear my head. The city blinked beneath us like 1,000 stories all happening at once. Mine felt like it had just started. Behind me, I heard the soft shuffle of socks. Tama stepped beside me, holding out a blanket and wrapping it around both of us without asking. "I've been thinking," he said. "That's dangerous." He laughed under his breath. "What if we made it official?" I turned to face him. "You mean?" He reached into his hoodie pocket. It wasn't the same ring. This one was simpler. No diamond, just a silver band with a tiny engraving on the inside. I held it up to the moonlight, squinting. "Is that?" "It says real this time." His voice was soft, steady, no hesitation. I felt the lump rise in my throat before I could stop it. "I don't need a big ceremony," he said, "or a perfect timeline. I just want something that's ours, that no one else gets to fake or mess with." I couldn't speak. I just nodded, heart pounding. He took my hand gently, sliding the ring onto my finger like he'd practiced it 100 times in his head. "I know you used to think love was a story people made up to feel less lonely," he said, "but I want to spend every day showing you it's real." I leaned into his chest, burying my face against him, the city lights blurring behind us. I don't care about matching suits or fancy announcements, I whispered. As long as I get to wake up with you beside me, that's more than enough. You say that now, he teased. Wait until I steal all the covers and hog the toothpaste. We'll buy 2 tubes. I already did. I laughed, holding him tighter. The next morning we didn't tell anyone. Not yet. We just wore matching rings like a secret between 2 people who finally understood each other completely. A week later, I brought him back to the cafe. KG spotted the ring immediately and raised a brow. So, you really went through with it? I nodded. Real deal. KG smiled. Not the teasing kind, the genuine peaceful kind. I was rooting for you too. You just needed a plot twist. You were part of the twist. He shrugged. Happy endings are worth a little chaos. Tama ordered a coffee and wrote fiancé as the name on the cup. I didn't even correct him. That night, we hung up a new sketch in my studio. It was us, sitting on the beach, hand in hand, the broken swing behind us, the wind tangled in our hair. 2 versions of ourselves I barely recognized, but would always remember. Should we frame it? He asked. I nodded. And maybe write something under it. Like what? I thought for a second, then smiled. I faked a proposal to avoid marriage. Then my best friend showed up with a real ring. Tama laughed. That sounds like a terrible Wattpad story. Yeah, I said, looking at him. But I'd read it again and again.